Dear viewers, this is continuation of the previous video where I have talked about the element, atom and molecules. In this video I'm going to talk majorly about molecules, compound and how they are different. Further I will also talk about mixture. So let's start. So if I'll ask you what you think about water, is it a molecule or a compound? You will say it's a molecule. Yes. What about CO2? You will say this is also a molecules. Why? Because these are made of the two atoms. So in previous class we have talked that what is molecules. It's a group of atoms which combine together. Okay, so why it is not a compound? Can I say it's a compound? Yes, I can say this is compound also, because compound is made of more than two type element chemically combined in a fixed proportion. As you can see that if this is the water, there are two elements combined in a fixed ratio which is 2:1. So yes, you can say water is a molecule as well as a compound. So I can say water is a compound which is made of the water molecules. Similar way, carbon dioxide is a compound which is made of the carbon dioxide molecules. So all molecules are compound? No. Majorly we talk about molecules when the similar kind of atom join together. For example, when the two oxygen atom they chemically combine and they form oxygen molecules. Or suppose when the two nitrogen atom they similarly combine together and there's a nitrogen molecules. So always remember, every compound is a molecules, but not every molecule is a compound. Is it making sense? For example, hydrogen, oxygen gas, chlorine gas, these are all molecules. I cannot say these are compounds. Why? Because they are made of the similar kind of atoms. Just now talked about a compound, it should be made of the different types of the elements. Okay, but what about these H2O, water? They can be molecules. You can say molecules, you can say also compounds. So let's go back and discuss further what is the difference between the molecules and compound. So very important. First, the definition, as I told you, the molecules is a group of the two or more atoms which are held together by chemical bonding. Yes, and what are the compound? Compound is also a combination where the two or different elements combine together in a fixed proportions. Okay, so all molecules are compound? No, but all compounds are molecules. Just now we have discussed. For example, you can talk about ozone, which is O3. Okay, this is a molecules, but you cannot say this is a compound. So compound can be sodium salt, it can be water, it can be nitric acid, any other thing you can think which is made of the two or different elements. Now what about the structure? The molecules are very simple. No, they are made from the atoms and they are bonded by the strong force. But the compounds are actual matter. What does it mean? That you cannot see the water molecules with your naked eye. However, you can see the water, which is a compound. So when the compound you can see easily with your naked eye, it means the water what we see, it's a compound. But what is different water molecules is inside, we cannot see, that is a molecules. So is this, I hope this part is clear for you. Now let's talk about some other properties and some other point about the compound. So what about the property? If you're combining the two atoms, is it like this are carrying the properties of the element? For example, if you're talking about water is made of the hydrogen and oxygen, so does water carrying the properties of hydrogen and oxygen as well? No. So very important that if you have a confusion, sometimes how do you know it's a given compound is a compound or mixture? So always check the properties of the constituent and the compound further what you made. For example, the magnesium and the oxygen, when they combine together they form magnesium oxide. As you can see, the color of magnesium is a silvery solid. Oxygen was a gas, but this is different. It is a solid and white in color. So completely different. Water also, if you think, it's made of the hydrogen and oxygen gas, but water compound is a liquid form. So this can be noted down that compound have not similar properties at the constituent. Next point, you can think that, oh, if this is made from hydrogen and oxygen, can we separate this out? No. So there are no chemical method other than the decomposition and electrolysis by which you can sort it down. So definitely I cannot decompose, or we can do any physical method to separate the constituent element. What are the physical method? As you know already, it is your freezing point, melting, boiling, without changing the element properties. Whatever method you can do, like crystallization, distillation, these are all called physical method. So you cannot do any separation by these methods. Only it can be done by thermal decomposition and electrolysis. What is thermal decomposition? Decomposition means breakdown. So here you are breaking down the big substance into the simpler elemental form by help of the heat. For example, if you heat the magnesium oxide, it can give you mercury and oxygen. So yes, you can get it, but it is not via simple physical method. You can also get the element by electrolysis. For example, if you electrolyze the water, you can get hydrogen gas and oxygen gas separately, and you can separate it out. So this is a very simple property of this, and you can remember this is very important. Now further, let's talk about the mixture. What do you mean by mixture? Mixture is made of the two or more substances that are not chemically combined. They are just mixed together. Now it can be mixture of two elements, it can be mixture of two compound. For example, you can see by this model that this is made of the monatomic element and the diatomic element, which is the molecules of hydrogen. And here the triatomic molecules, as you can see, it's carbon dioxide and water, but it is a mixture of the two compounds. Now how do you know that whether the given compound is a mixture or compound? So let's talk about a few very important points. Point number one, you have to think how they are made. If you think that they are just combined together, they are just physically combined, you will say, oh, this is a mixture. But if they are combined chemically, they are compound. Now what about composition? In the compound, the ratio is fixed. For example, if I am saying water, the ratio is always 2:1. Now if I am mixing the salty water, it depends on me how much salt I want. I can add 2 spoon of salt plus water. I can add 1 tablespoon of salt. It can be just mixture. So if they see water, it's a mixture, but just water, it's a compound. Now third point is about property. Just now we have discussed that compound is different from their constituent element because they are chemically combined. That's why they will be always different. But what about mixture? They show the property of constituent element. So whenever you have doubt, please think all these points. Separation, they can be only differentiated or separated by the electrochemical and chemical method. However, the mixture you can just separate with the physical method. For example, salt and water, you can go with distillation, sort it out, salt and water. How you identify this? You cannot identify visually, because if I'll give you this water, you cannot say where is hydrogen, where is oxygen. But here you can identify, based on the properties, based on the looking morphologically or physically how they appear. Now important point here is the energy change. Whenever there is energy change, what does it mean? That bond is breaking, bond is making. There is always release of energy or gain of energy. So there is always feeling of cold and hot. And mixture, since they have not new bond form, so there is never a change in energy. Example, you already know that NaCl, water, is a compound. However, mixture is just sand, salt or alloy. These are all kind of mixture. Now let's see a question. If I am saying water is a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen of gas, am I right? Or it is a compound? And if you think it's a compound, what are the ways to prove it? So here we go. First you have to think, okay, if the water is made of the mixture, how I can get that? So can I separate by the physical process, for example distillation or any other process? No, I cannot get. I can only get water and oxygen and hydrogen from water by the only and only with electrolysis. So this is the first proof to say it is compound. Second, what about properties? It's a liquid. But what about constituent elements? It's hydrogen and gas, which is completely different. So yes, this is the second steps which tell you yes, it's a water. Energy change. There's always energy change happen because they are combining. So this bond between the hydrogen and hydrogen, oxygen and oxygen, they break and they make a new bond, which is called water. so they always change in energy. However, here if you're just mixing, there's no energy required. Now the third point, as I told you, is very important. At composition, it is fixed, but here you can mix. Just if you want to just mix, you can just mix, 4 oxygen, 2 hydrogen. It depends on us what constituent I want to mix it. So I hope this is very clear to understand that yes, water is a compound. It is not just a mixture of hydrogen and gas. Now I hope this idea of atoms, molecules, compounds are very clear. So let's have some question. You can pause the video and tell me the answer for this part. So if you look this question, they are asking you it is true or false statement, and if it is a false, what's the wrong? So let's talk about question number 1. Molecules contain 4 elements. Is it true? You can pause the video, think about it and let me know. So I think you can think quickly and you can tell me yes. Like example here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is right. There are 8 atoms in the molecules. Are there 8 atoms? Let's count it down. So 3, 3, 6 and 8. So yes, this is right. One of the molecules present in this is sodium. Where is the sodium? No. Sodium is written as a Na. It's not N, it's nitrogen. So it's false. Urea is a mixture of element. No, it is not mixed. It's a compound. So this is a false. This compound has carbon monoxide. You know the carbon monoxide formula is a carbon monoxide means mono means 1, so 1 oxygen. So do you think it's a carbon monoxide? No. If it is in between, this is a part of that compound. You cannot separate it out just like a carbon monoxide. So it's a wrong statement. And if this is the urea, do you think this formula is correct? Yes. Now let's see the question of another ask on the mixture of these are the things. For example, solid. What are things you can think of solidly mixed here? So you can think brass is a alloy, so brass will fit here. Solid and liquid, what do you think? Where you have mixed the two things. You can think of syrup, you can think of wire. Now gases is air. Liquid, what do you think? Just liquid and mixed together. You can talk about the syrup also, and the wine also. What about liquid and gas? So liquid and gas, the carbonated drink. Okay, I think one is missed here, so mud should fit here because mud is solid particles of soil and the water, so mud will go here. So I hope this video is enough for you and you will understand this part. Thank you for your kind attention. If you like this video, please subscribe the channel and I'll update further more video. Thank you.